one of these is a fake. I'll try and figure out what one it is. Time's up. It's this one. So when you first look at this game, there's nothing to really signify that it is a fake Pokemon game. However, if we look at it in a bit more detail in a second, then you would clearly see that this is actually a fake Pokemon Emerald. And if you're wondering, this was the last Pokemon save file that we really did. This is a gosh darn dirty fake. So let's have a look and see why it's a fake. So for starters, and this might not seem very clear to begin with, but if we look very closely at the Game Boy Advance logo, then you can kind of clearly see that it's kind of misshapen. If we get it in the light a bit better, you can see here that the font is a bit different to how a normal Pokemon game is supposed to be. And luckily, this one, this is the other one, this is the Luigi one. And if we get this in pretty much the same light and have a look at it, then we can see that the text is pretty different to how this one is done. And the second big thing about this Game Boy text is that it's slightly raised off of the face of the cartridge, which shouldn't really happen. If you look at this one a bit closer, it's more smooth with the rest of the cartridge. It's a lot more formal than the rest of it. So that's a big old giveaway right there. The second giveaway, and I didn't even notice this when it was first delivered, but this is the legitimate Pokemon Emerald. So we can look at this, like we can move this forwards and backwards, and you can see very clearly that there's some sheen on it, and there's like little particles and things that light up and refract the light and whatever. Reflect the light off of it in different ways, and it looks very nice. But the fake Pokemon Emerald, this is very dull compared to the other one. It's not anywhere near as interesting as how the other one is being displayed. It is shiny, but it doesn't have the extra flair that the Pokemon Emerald has, and for some reason, I've noticed this before, but Pokemon Emerald seems to be the most pirated version of the Game Boy Advance Pokemon games. Pokemon in general on the GBA is pirated a lot, but for some reason I've noticed Emerald a lot more. I don't really know why. But Darbus, you could have said, you can look in the cartridge slot and have a look at the board, and you would see that it's clearly a fake by what's printed on the inside of the board. I'm trying to pad out the time while I focus this. It's very hard to see, but in there you can see it says 2002 Nintendo with the copyright symbol here. But if we look at this one, have a look at this in a bit more detail, we can see that this also says copyright 2002 Nintendo with the same font, pretty much sat in the same place that it is in the official cartridge. I don't really understand how they could really do that, because if we look in a second, it really isn't an official Nintendo cartridge. So there's a few other aesthetic things we can clearly look at on the back of the cartridge. First of all, we can have a look at the actual cartridge itself. These little lines that come down here are cut off somewhere around here, and you can see the line that carries on all the way across here, and it's slightly pushed into the cartridge. We're going to completely ignore this bit because this is the exact same as this fake cartridge, but have a look here. You can see there that it cuts off and it doesn't actually carry on. It's not consistent with the rest of the cartridge. We can also have a look at this. This is the back of the board for the actual cartridge itself. We can see that there's different parts of the components where the different components sit and how they're connected and whatever, and how they're joined to each other. You can see that there with the silicon paths. But you can have a look at the back of this one. This is the official one. You can see that the layout is vastly different compared to this one. You can see that it just generally looks a lot more messy than this one. This one is very formal with minimal amounts of connectors to the board from the different components compared to this one. It's very which is very shoddily done. The next visual key that I want to point out is that if we look at the cartridge itself, it's very transparent. Normal Gen 3 games like Ruby and Sapphire also have normal transparent cartridges. You can see the boards through the back of the cartridge. But if we have a look at this one and this one, we can see that the colour of the cartridge and the density of the colour themselves and transparency is a lot denser in the official cartridge than it is in the fake version. So here's that one. So you can see the connectors down here that connect to the cartridge port, and if we look on this one, it's kind of harder to see because it's a bit more blurry because of the density of the transparency of the plastic. So that's something else to look out for, the density and the colouring of the plastic. Now I kind of want to just quickly point out, I didn't go into a shop and buy this. I bought this online and this was sent to me, but the thing is that this was sent to me from a shop called CX where they actually are supposed to check the games before they ship them out and resell them. So this should have been checked before it was even sent to me, but this is a month later after I bought it, and I only actually realised yesterday, so there's actually nothing I can really do about this anymore. So unfortunately, I'm kind of just stuck with a fake cartridge, but for some reason I'm not all that bothered. Another visual thing that I want to point out is that right on the front here, we can see this tiny little dot here. That's not supposed to be there, that's supposed to be in the centre. Like on the official cartridge, we can see there's a big old blob right in the center of this. This is where the plastic indents. I think it has something to do with how the mold is made. Look out for that. That's not supposed to be down there. It's supposed to be in the center of the sticker. Just off to the right of this little indent, we can see some numbers printed on the actual cartridge itself. In this case, something 0 E3. How amazing. So these are printed onto each cartridge of a Game Boy Advance game, and if we look at Pokemon Sapphire, for example, these also have prints on them somewhere. So on this one, it's around here. On this Pokemon Sapphire, it's also around here. We have a 4, an A, and a 3. On this Pokemon Ruby, we have it down here, so it's not actually next to this, it's down here somewhere. On this Pokemon Leaf Green, we have it down here, we have a 2A, and finally on this Pokemon Fire Red version, we have it over to the right here. So let's push those out of the way, and if we compare that to the fake Pokemon Emerald, we can see that if we shine this in the light, there is no indent or printing on the actual cartridge itself, so it doesn't actually come through the label, it's just non-existent. So there's a lot of cartridges that pretend to be an official Pokemon Emerald. There's some versions that are a lot more obvious to spot than others. As an example, there's some Pokemon Emerald or any Gen 3 game with just a normal grey cartridge. There's some with the Pokemon labelled onto the label. Those are obviously fake ones. So already, this is kind of looking like a normal cartridge. If you just took a quick glance at this, you'll think that's a normal Pokemon Emerald cartridge. Looks kind of normal. I want to dig a bit deeper into this cartridge, so I'm going to take off this back and take out this screw right here. Future me here, please don't attempt to do what I'm about to do unless you know exactly how to do it yourself. I don't want anyone coming to me crying about their broken games. So I've already pointed out, you can see the connectors on the back of the cartridge, but if we take that off as well, and let's just take the Pokemon Emerald. Hopefully I don't kill Luigi. I'm sorry, Luigi, if I accidentally kill you. So the same with the official, just slide it down, take the front off, and if we compare the two, just put them side by side next to each other. So remember how I said earlier about the copyright, and look how close that is to the original? But if we look at the rest of the board, this is the official one. You can tell it's the official one by this battery right here. This is used to keep the time in Pokemon. So if you see this battery through any of the cartridges, as an example, here's Ruby. You can see right here that the battery is kind of sticking out over the top. And these are always used in Gen 3 Pokemon games regardless. They're always used to keep the time consistent in the game. So whenever you need to like replace it, you take out the battery and replace it with another cell sort of battery. But this is how the cartridge is supposed to look with the battery and these components hanging around here. But in the unofficial one, we have no battery to speak of whatsoever. It could be one of these two things here, but I'm not really that great with my circuitry. And also, if we look kind of around here at this bit of work on this component, look how bad that soldering job is. They kind of burnt the component a bit. That's not a good thing. That's kind of dangerous. As well as that, some components are kind of shifting over into the other legs as well, and that's really not a good thing. You shouldn't be doing that. So yeah, just placing these side by side, it's blatantly obvious which one is the official cartridge and which one isn't the official cartridge. It's a lot more cheaply made than an official Pokemon cartridge. And the final thing that I kind of want to show about this cartridge that kind of threw up a red flag initially was this screw hole right here. This doesn't look very good. I initially just passed it off as, I don't know, just wear and tear really. I don't know why I kind of just passed that off. Is a huge blatant thing. It's a huge red flag right in my face, and I kind of just passed it off as wear and tear. But any other Pokemon game, this doesn't occur. And also there's this little alcovey bit right here for the battery arm to sit into, but any other Pokemon game doesn't look like that. It's a very solid build, so you can't really mess that sort of thing up. There you go, Luigi. I'ma fix ya. You're fixed. You're welcome. So these are all of the Pokemon games sat next to each other, and you really just can't tell which one, at a glance from this distance, you can't tell which one is fake, which one is real. It's kind of generally hard unless you really have a look at it. So the message that I want to send from this video is, if you try to get a new Pokemon game, please don't buy online. Regardless of how well you think you know the seller or how reliable you think they are, the chances are that they're still going to mess up and send you something that you didn't really want. Case in point, a fake Pokemon Emerald. So what's the way around this? The thing you can do to avoid this sort of thing happening to yourself: go and find a Pokemon game yourself and see if you can find one in the wild anywhere. The best chance you're going to have at getting one is a second-hand shop, pawn shops, gaming shops, retro gaming shops. I can almost guarantee that you're going to find at least a Pokemon game that isn't a fake one. But still, if it looks fine in the display, you can always go and ask them if you can have a look at the cartridge and inspect it to see if it is a real or fake one. Just keep an eye out for all these different things to make sure that you're not picking up a fake cartridge and wasting your money on something you didn't really want. Even if you plug the game in and it plays like a normal cartridge, just like this one does for me, then just inspect it physically, look at the board, look at the cartridge itself, make sure that everything is as it should be and not like this, with the back of the cartridge kind of being a mess. So please take that message away from this video, and if you want to go and get yourself some old Pokemon cartridges, make sure you're not buying a fake one. Make sure that you're always inspecting them before you buy them. Don't buy them online. Make sure you're always buying from a respectable and reliable source if you are. But I really just want to remind you to make sure that you're safe with buying second-hand Pokemon cartridges, especially bulk ones with every game from Gen 3. So just be careful with that. So that's all I really wanted to show for this video. Thank you for watching, and just be careful with buying second-hand Pokemon games, especially now, because these games are so old now that these fake versions would have entered circulation a long time ago and people didn't realize it. So it's going to be a lot easier to come across them now than it would have been initially. So just be very careful with these, and yeah. Bye-bye.